Okay, I'll say hi again. So I'm Maura, and I'm going to talk tonight about grisaille painting. Some of you probably already know what that's all about. From what I just saw, a lot of you are pretty advanced painters. So a grisaille painting is just a fancy word for a gray tonal painting. I have an example here. It's just a painting, usually traditionally on a gray background, done in raw umber and white. So this is how I start my portraits. I do this was 3 hours of a model sitting for us. And then I let this dry and then I go over it with color. This is a traditional technique that's gone back hundreds of years. And when you go to a museum and you see the old masters, this is how they did their paintings, with layers of color, and they began with this grisaille. What I love about grisaille painting is when you first do this, all you need to think about is the drawing, the composition, and the value. It's like you're setting up your own coloring book. And once it's dry, you've got your coloring book, and all you need to do is take out your magic markers or your crayons and color over it. As long as you do that thinly enough, this is going to come through. So I don't do this with all of my paintings, but I do it with all of my still lifes and all of my portraits. So I have an example here of another grisaille with color, and it's not really coming through the glow on it. But compared to this is one of my plein air paintings that I did not use the grisaille technique. And the people here can tell there's a real difference here. This is opaque. This has layers of oil. So what happens here, the light comes onto this, it's opaque, and it just bounces right off. You see the color, you see that it's orange, you see that it's blue. What happens here is, because there is first that black and white painting, then there's another layer of oil and color, then maybe another layer of oil and color, and they all dry. The light goes in, and when it comes back out, it's traveling through those layers of transparent paint. And so the light then has that pink in it, and it hits your eye as if the light is coming from that object. And so it's a cool technique. Here's another example I brought in, and I brought this one in because you can see that you really don't need that much color in a painting to translate there's an object there. So this is a grisaille done in the raw umber and the white with just a little bit more color in it. So I encourage you to try stuff like this as well. So there's some pop up there. Can they see?
I think they can see.
Okay, okay. Okay, so for those of you that are here, got one of these for each of you. It's just a little booklet of what I'm going to be talking about. If any of you out there want one of these, just email me. Maybe you have my email that you could give them, and I can either mail it to you, or you could come by. I have some paintings at Viewpoints Gallery in Los Altos. I could leave a copy for you there. Okay.
One benefit of coming to coming to the meeting in person.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, right. So I'm going to do something similar to this. I've got 2 candy sticks. I'm a very slow painter. It will not end up looking like this by 9 p.m. But I'll show you all that I go through to get to this point, and then you can try it at home. And I really hope you do, even if you do mostly alla prima and not a grisaille technique. Try it once. I think you'll like it. Okay, so tonight we're going to do a red stick and a green stick, and we're going to hope that they don't break, because sometimes they do.
One of the artists has asked for this. Can I borrow?
Who has?
One of the artists has asked.
Oh yes, you want one to give it to them? Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so I'm going to set this up. And as I noticed, it does seem like most of you out there are pretty advanced. So I don't need to talk too much about composition, but so I'm going to position them
turn off any of the lights? To bother you?
No, I think that's fine. And I think it might be then too dark for everybody else.
Yeah.
So first I'll talk about the board that I paint on. This is just, I like these wooden boards. And then I put layers of gesso. I sand in between until it's very smooth. Then I put a layer of burnt sienna, usually acrylic, and then maybe a little bit of raw umber. And that is what I did on this one here. You can see it looks pretty similar. And next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a very thin layer of oil on this, really thin. You don't want it to be gloppy. That way, when I'm doing the drawing, because basically a grisaille is just a drawing. You're using paints, you're using brushes, but it's a drawing. When there's a little bit of oil on here, the paint doesn't stick. So if I made a mistake, I can easily wipe it off with a paper towel, or I use these little cosmetic brushes, sponges. They're pretty nice. Okay, so I'm using walnut alkyd medium. I like to use this because it'll be dry by tomorrow. If I wanted to go back over and do my next layer tomorrow, I can do that. If I were to use linseed oil, it could take, depending on what paints I use, you know, it could take a week or something before it's all dry. Okay, so I'm gonna put the oil on this really thin layer. I used to,
Is this like a medium?
yes, this is a medium, and it's a fast drying medium. But even with this, sometimes I used to put too much on, and I would notice an hour after I was done painting, I would get these drips, and it looks bad, and it makes your paint run. So you definitely don't want it too thick there. And please ask questions. If any of you here or any of you out there have any questions, ask. That's why I'm here.
Can you do this on canvas board too?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Could you please repeat the name of the oil?
sure. It is, this is M gram walnut alkyd medium. I
Okay,
like it a
thank
lot.
you.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I only use it when I do this technique. When I go out and I do my plein air painting, I don't use it. I use,
If she wants to get it close to the camera, so just bring it close to here so they can see better with that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
You can watch yourself here.
okay, sure. Yeah, when I do my plein air pieces, I will use a gel medium. I think it's a Gamblin non-toxic gel. I really like that. Okay, I'm gonna put these away.
Jason,
Yes.
Can you move this one
Huh?
to the setup?
See? Oh, I see, I see.
Okay, so we're ready to go here, pretty much. So on my palette here, I think you can see, all I have is white and raw umber. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, yes.
Thanks. And so when I'm doing this, I only need two brushes. One's for the white, one's for the raw umber. I'm gonna put a little bit of medium. I just use these little caps, you know, you get so many containers and you just throw them away. I always keep the caps and reuse them for this. I may not even need any, but in case I do. So there's a little bit of medium. Okay, I mostly draw with the raw umber. We can see right here that when I draw that edge there, I'm basically going to want to erase it later because that's mostly white. But for now, I'm just going to use the raw umber. Dip this in a little bit of oil, not much. And now here's where I think about composition. So I'm probably going to draw the line down here because they're pretty tall. And because it's, in a way, this is a trompe l'oeil, which is the French word for fool the eye, which is trying to be a painting that looks like the object is actually there. And so you don't want that to go off the canvas or the board. So for example,
Are
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
using acrylic or you are using oil colors?
right now I'm using oil. So when I prepped this board, I used acrylic just because it dries quickly. You can use oil, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So thinking about composition, you know, when I do my, my plein air pieces, a lot of times I will make one of the objects go up off the top so I can create an interesting shape there and an interesting shape here. But when I do, these are sort of trompe l'oeils because I've got the shadow there. It makes it look like it's actually there. I'm not going to cut this off at the top. So again, with these guys, I don't want to cut them off at the top. Also, I don't want them right in the middle. I'll probably put the first one over here, just sketching it in.
That's an interesting psychology.
Yeah, you mean instead, I mean, you can, you know, you can do whatever you want. There are lots of people who say, don't make things symmetrical, do things in thirds. And then you'll find some painting that is absolutely amazing and defies all those rules. So
Yeah.
So you can see I'm not one of those fast painters. So I hope this is interesting. And that's why I encourage you to just keep asking me questions.
Could we just spotlight the window that has the painting happening, please?
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it looks like there's glare on this
Yeah.
too. Maybe I can, and
Yeah, I think this is better. With this one, I think it's more clear.
Yeah, thank you.
that's dramatic.
Do you buy these boards ready-made or you make them?
I buy them ready-made, but they do not have gesso on them. So I buy them from Blick. These are Blick, I think Premier boards, wood boards or wood panels. And then I put, as I said, about 3 layers of gesso. It's really time consuming. What I've started doing with my plein air work, I go to Jerry's Artorama and I get Da Vinci Ultra Smooth and they come already gessoed. I don't like them as much because this one has nice wood on the back and the Da Vinci, it looks like particle board. But the benefit is I don't need to gesso it. I mean, it takes me hours. I'll do a whole bunch at once, but it really takes me hours to do that.
So how come you prefer this over the canvas then?
You know, because I'm working in really thin layers, I like not having the bumps of the canvas there. But you can do it on canvas, try it on canvas. Maybe that's more your style. Okay, so you know, I may decide that this is in the wrong spot or they're not at enough of an angle. And you can see I can easily wipe it. I can wipe it right off. Whereas if you were to take some paint and put it on a canvas that doesn't have any oil on it or a board that doesn't have any oil, it's going to have stained it a bit and you won't be able to take that off. So that's the advantage of the oil. The disadvantage is if you really want to put a lot of paint on there, it's slippery. It's going to take a lot to get it to really stick. Okay, so that's looking,
Question,
yeah.
So your reference doesn't have any texture on the background, but you chose to have a texture on your background here.
Yes, and you know, just like this one here, I may decide to put a nice gray background here and just do enough layers so that you no longer see that.
Oh, later
Or
on.
yeah, later on, which you know won't happen tonight. Or I may decide, oh, I kind of like that, and I'll put in the shadow here, but I might leave that. So you know, I just sort of see how it goes. Okay, so from my vantage point here, I've got the shadow coming down here. And I'm already seeing an issue. I want the shadow. I might move this guy. I might move him over more just so I have more room. I might even take this and use this to sort of erase that out. And it's gone.
That's so cool.
Gone. Because this wasn't enough room here. So I'm going to put this in and move that over here. And it comes down straight. I'm going to work on the grisaille. What time is it now? 8 o'clock. Work on the grisaille for another maybe 15 minutes, and then I'm going to switch over to color. I'm also thinking right now about where's the darkest point, where's the lightest point. Now the light's coming from this direction. The lightest things are going to be this reflection right there, and that reflection there. Darkest points look like they're up here. A lot of times they're down there. And I might even make them dark down here just to let the viewer see that this is the base of it. That. Okay, now the next one, I'm going to make this more of an angle.
Brushes are simple oil brushes or?
Yeah, these are, what is this? This is Utrecht 239B mixed synthetic. I get these from Blick. You know, I find I go through brushes quickly. I bet you all do too. I wish they lasted longer. So these, you know, I'll get 5 of them for maybe 25 bucks or something. So that's a good deal. I really don't go for all those expensive brushes. Maybe I should try them and I would realize, oh my gosh, they changed my life. But I just go through these and I like them when they have a real nice point. So this one, where's the new one? Well, this one has a very nice sharp point. So I can use it flat and I can use it at an angle and I can even use it as a little point like that. And then after a while, they'll get frayed. This one's all frayed, and then I can use it as blending, but I can't really use it for fine work.
Maura, do you conduct classes?
I used to, and it was a class on grisaille, and that was at the Pacific Art League. But then when the pandemic struck, Pacific Art League closed down, and now they've started up again. But to be perfectly honest, I've really been enjoying painting every day. So I haven't started classes again. I may soon, but I'm just enjoying going out every day and painting. Mostly I do plein air painting.
But I've seen your paintings in the Viewpoint Gallery where you take the plein air, you do the plein air and show the plein air.
Right. I like that. Okay, and now we'll bring this one. So once you get the shadow in, you know, the main composition is right here. It's still towards the center. And I put it over this way and towards the left because the shadows are going towards the right. So your eye, I hope, will start here and kind of travel over here.
No, that's fine. That angle is good. It's just an extra.
And probably to do this grisaille, just this part, I would probably spend about 2 hours. So you're going to see a portion of it. Okay, so now here, where are we going to have our sharp edges? Where are we going to have our soft edges? Definitely the shadow is going to be soft edges. I want to get it a little darker and then maybe soften those edges. And because I'm only using raw umber and white, I can't get it super dark. I don't have an ivory black here. If you look up grisailles, and I encourage you to do that, you'll see that there are different kinds. Some people just say raw umber and white. Other people will add ivory black and burnt sienna. And you can do entire paintings with that because ivory black plus white, you're going to get a nice kind of grayish blue. Burnt sienna, there's your red color. So you've got your warms and your cools. I mean, you could almost say that this painting here is a grisaille using those other colors, using the ivory black and the burnt sienna, white, raw umber, and that's it. Okay, so here's my brush that I'm going to use. This is a filbert and it's kind of frayed. So it's one of my older brushes and I'm going to use it to soften these edges here. I'm just going to kind of smush it around because I don't want these to be sharp, especially down here at the bottom. So I don't know if you can see the shadow, but where the object hits the board, you're going to get a sharper edge. And where it's further away, right down here is further away, it's further away, so the shadow is going to be more blurry. I'm really going to blur it down here. There's a straight line here. And now I'm going to start putting in. So here, when I put in these lines, I'm going to use the burnt umber, but then over here to define it, I'm going to use white, I think. And here's where it's really a matter of drawing. Okay, so just be careful. If this gets bonked, then these candy sticks will fall and break. Yeah, if you bump the table there, these can very easily just fall and break.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It happens to me all the time. I break these
I'm
all the
connected to so
time.
many things. Sorry.
Here's the part where I just wonder if it's at all interesting for you guys to watch me just drawing these little lines in. But I want to get at least a couple in so you can see me putting in the white and dealing with the edges and all that.
Maura, we are looking at painting in a different way. So definitely we are learning from you.
Okay, okay.
Just hold on. I have to stop it.
So, you know, a lot of people will say, just use this kind of brush and hold it this way and just use these colors. This is the palette that I use. You know, I've taken workshops and the person will say, and this is my palette. And it, you know, it's some person that I just think is fabulous. And I think, okay, well, that's it. Those are the colors I need. And I'll go out and buy all those colors. And then I take another workshop from somebody else and they have a different palette. I go out and buy all those colors. And, you know, I've kind of found over time that colors are like flavors, and try them out and you're going to find the ones that work for you. And as long as you have a warm and a cool of each of the primaries, you're fine. Whichever ones you like best. So you can see these lines that kind of go in an S form. And what time have we got? 8:12. Okay, I'm going to add a little white so that I can get onto the color. I do not like this brush. This is an older frayed brush. Sorry, I'm going to see if I have a better brush. For this one. Yeah, so the same thing with brushes, you know. People will say, oh, I only use filberts and I only use brights or whatever. And I use all of them. I use different brushes for different times. If I'm out plein air painting and I'm doing trees, I use a filbert. If I'm doing structures, I use a flat. So right now I'm using 2 flats right here. You can see here, I made these lines too thick because it's just as small as I can make them with this brush. So now you can see this dark line is right here, and I'm actually going to come up and kind of go over that and make it thinner. I'm just going to do a little bit over here so I can see this is white. It's down. I'm going to try and take away some of this darkness over here because I see it there when really all I want to see is white. And I might even blur these lines a little bit because when you have sharp edges, it's got to be exactly what you want to say. If you have something that's blurred, the eye is going to fill in the rest. So all in here, I kind of need that to be sharp. I'm also going to put in.
That's a trick for ending the shapes. Huh?
Yeah, always,
Okay.
you know, I would say make as many lines as possible non-defined until the very, very end, if at all, because what you don't show, the eye and the mind will do. So I'm just putting some of these, some of this in. And what time is it? Okay, I can do this a little more, then I'm going to go over the color.
Do you study psychology of perception? Or?
No, my degree's in math. Go
Oh, it's pretty
figure.
close.
Yeah, pretty close, right? Okay, so what I did just here, really this is sort of, it's a mid-tone. So I took some raw umber and white, added it together. And I'm actually going to do a little bit here because on this side, it's not so white. There's a little bit of shadow. And now I'm going to add more white over here.
Could we just spotlight Shobha's phone, please? Because having so much on the screen, can't see too well.
Okay. Yeah. Let me back up.
Can you see that?
Thank you so much. Yeah, much better.
Have any of you out there tried this technique before? No? Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I hope that you try it, and if you guys do, send me JPEGs of what you've done, and of course, you know, any questions or frustrations that you come across.
That's the reason I wanted this demo badly, because this was a new thing which I've seen.
Yeah,
I'm
totally
glad.
new. Totally
I'm
new.
glad.
It's very new.
Maura, I did before, but my question is, why not do the background first?
Oh, you can. You know, I kind of feel like, you mean the shadow here, or do you mean this area
Oh, the
here?
back, that background.
Right
yeah.
here.
Uh-huh.
I usually save that to the end because I may get to a point and I may say, you know what, this one's still in the wrong position and I need to move it.
Oh.
And so, but normally, for example, when I do a landscape or anything like that, I try and map everything out and make a little sketch, but then I'll do the background first and then move forward, because the things in the foreground, you want them to sort of be painted on top of the things that are in the background.
Right.
You want to
right.
do your sky, and then you want to do your trees, and you want those leaves to kind of fade into the sky. So that's a really valid question. Yeah, and in this case, I don't do it that way. I kind of feel like the background doesn't matter as much as long as I've got the object and these shadows here. It kind of reads. Let's see,
Yeah,
let's
maybe
do.
roll the video.
Banners has done it before.
What's that?
One of the artists has done it before, and she loves her painting.
Oh, that's great.
She loves her painting. She loves her painting.
I hope she'll do another grisaille. They're awesome. I've really gotten into doing plein air, so I haven't been doing as much of the still life, but now that it's winter, the rains are coming, yay, I probably will be doing more. Just putting in, and again, with these highlights, you don't want to do a straight line. First of all, it isn't a straight line, but even things in life that are a straight line, you just want to kind of do a little bit. And then again, as I said, let the eye do the rest, because the eye does a better job than we can. And I really want this right. Time is at 8:20. Okay, I'm going to move on to the color. So now, in a perfect world, you sat here for 3 hours or 2 hours, and I have done the whole grisaille. And then I let it dry overnight. And then the next day, I come and I'm ready to do color. So,
The question,
yeah.
for this kind of painting, do you always choose a subject which is popping out of the frame?
No, when I use this technique also for my models.
Oh, okay.
So whenever I paint a model, I use the grisaille technique, and usually when I do the model, I get a 3-hour pose. I don't know if you can, 3-hour pose, can't really see it, but I showed it earlier. And if the drawing doesn't turn out right, usually I get 3 sittings of 3 hours each. And if it doesn't look great on the first day, then I throw it out and I start again the next week with another grisaille. So if the drawing isn't right, the painting isn't going to come out right. Okay, so here we go. Now we're going to go ahead with color. So now it's the next day. It's the next day, and we're ready for color. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my little sponge here. I'm going to add the oil. And here's where we're going to get those layers of color. It's going to be transparent. The light is going to go through and then pop back through whatever colors I lay on top of this.
There's no worry about the new layer of oil or accidentally erasing the grisaille?
That can happen if you use paints that if it's not quite dry. So another thing that I use when I do my grisailles is I'm going to take out those tubes of paint. I use Alkids. Let's see. They're in here somewhere.
Maura, minimum, how many people do you need to take a class?
You're very kind. I'm just really enjoying going outside every day.
How about on a rainy day?
Maybe you can email me. Yeah, okay, so here's the white. So this is Griffin Alkyd mixing white. And then the other one is Griffin Alkyd raw umber. And the alkyd is fast drying, just like this is an alkyd also. So I know that when I do a grisaille with my alkyds and I'm just using the white and the raw umber alkyds, it's gonna be dry the next day. If you used a regular oil paint, it may not be. And then if you went over it with the oil, you'd get paint all over this and you've got to stop because you're going to get a mess. You're going to get an alla prima painting, which is fine, but probably not what you were after.
These are something I've never heard before. These words we have never heard before.
So
A type of paint?
alkyd is, right. The alkyd is, and it's just fast drying. I think it's some sort of plastic, you know, that they add to it that makes it dry really quickly. It binds very quickly. Griffin, that's just a brand of Winsor and Newton.
Oh.
You know, they've got different kind. They've got the Winton, which is the student grade, and then Griffin is their alkyds.
So it's actually like oil, like, but like acrylic, kind of between acrylic and oil. Yeah.
Yes, yes. You know, I don't really work in acrylics, but I think with acrylics you wouldn't even really be able to layer because
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can't add the oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe this is sort of the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I think
Maura,
we've gotten enough. Yes.
Is this alkyd less toxic than linseed oil and all those other chemicals that we use?
So I don't think linseed oil is that toxic. I mean, that's just ground, that's just flaxseed, right? I think
Right.
regular, but I know what you mean. So is alkyd, is
Yeah, I may
alkyd
have
toxic?
phrased it wrong. I may have phrased it wrong.
Yeah,
The
well,
question.
let's look at this.
Catch fire.
Let's see what it says on the back. Warning, vapor harmful, contains petroleum distillate. So it's awful, you know, they all are. So yeah, these alkyds, it sounds like they're not great. That's why I do a lot of my painting outside. And then the gel that I use is that Gamblin non-toxic. There are some good non-toxic paints. Rublev, right? That's what Gabriel was always trying to sell to us.
What was it?
Rublev,
Rublev?
I think that's it.
Well, I recently tried the water soluble.
Right,
oils,
yeah.
Which are supposed to be,
Less toxic.
yeah, less toxic. Well, it's not that they're less toxic, it's that, you don't need the,
Oils.
like the terpenoid and the solvents, right?
Yeah.
I don't use those anymore. They're just, and even Gamblin, I mean, so it's an odorless spirit, but that doesn't mean it's non-toxic. It just means we can't smell that it's toxic. So I use this non-toxic gel when I'm outside. And then to clean my brushes, I also don't use any odorless spirits. I don't use terpenoid or turpentine. I use this, I think it's called Magic Brush Cleaner, and it's all non-toxic. It works pretty well.
I picked up this Savvy brush cleaner.
You like it?
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, now my colors are over here. So I'm done with this. I'm gonna keep this. Brushes here.
So the vibrancy of color, is it because of sheen of the oil, or is it? See, from this one to here, I see a big jump in the vibrancy.
That's because this was about 20 minutes
Okay,
and this was probably 2 to 3 hours. So I just kept building up the paint, but it was just raw umber and white. That's all that you see here. And then, you can see I blurred the edges here,
yes.
down here. Yeah, those shadows are not as defined as I would have thought. So I might do that a little bit now. Okay, so now I could go through, I'll tell you the color.
It's getting the shine like this.
The vibrancy is
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
from build up. I guess.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So I'll go through the colors here. I probably won't use all of these. This is my palette. And as I was saying before, it doesn't mean anything. You guys need to find your colors that you like best. For a while, I was doing all transparent colors because I really liked that. But then I found that I wasn't getting stuff bright enough. So now I've gone and I've added in some opaque colors, some cadmiums. And for a while, all I was using was a mixing white, this mixing white. And now I also use titanium white, which you probably all use. But-
Mixing white is that titanium and zinc.
That's right. That's right. So I went to art school in Germany, and I don't know why, but they used a lot of zinc white there. And so I just got used to doing that. And titanium was almost scary. It was just so thick and so opaque. Whenever I made a line, there was no taking it back. It kind of felt like, but now I've incorporated it. Okay, so I've got phthalo green here, dioxazine purple, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, but you can use cerulean, alizarin crimson. This is probably not burnt sienna. This is probably transparent red oxide, same sort of family. Lemon yellow, cad yellow medium. This is Naples yellow, raw sienna, cad orange. This is a transparent orange, and then this is cad red. But as I said, all you really need is a warm and a cool of the three primaries. So you don't need this orange, you don't need that orange, you can mix them. This is my warm red, the cadmium red. Here's my cool red, the alizarin. Here's my warm yellow, cadmium. Here's my cool yellow, lemon yellow. Burnt sienna, I think you kind of need that. And I think you kind of need raw sienna. They're just sort of earth tones. And most of what you're going to paint is not going to be vibrant colors. When you look around, most of the world is really subtle shades. There's a lot of gray around unless sunlight is shining on it. And then my cool blue is this cobalt blue. You could use cerulean. My warm blue is the ultramarine. Dioxazine purple is just because I love it. And phthalo green, I like using that and mixing it with alizarin. It's a really pungent color, almost toxic. But you know, for this green right here, I might use some of that mixed in with the cad yellow. We'll see. Okay, so what I'm looking at here, I've got warm light coming here. So that's going to be probably white plus a little bit of this transparent orange. Then over here, I'll probably push that a little bit towards blue. And then the red, I'm going to be using cad, probably adding a little alizarin, we'll see. Then over here, as I said, I'll use the phthalo plus cad yellow for this side. And back over here, I might add a little blue and tone it down with this transparent red oxide. And then this is a cooler white. Over here, we've got a warm white, but this is much cooler. So I'll probably be adding a little ultramarine to the white there. And then when I look at this reflection here of the light, it looks warm to me. And there too. So we'll go with that. All right, so let's see. Let's start with that cad red, because that'll pop out. I'm sure this is the cad red.
So are these color can be reused or they go waste once out?
Oh, that's a good question. So none of these are alkyds, only the white is alkyd. All the rest are just regular oil colors, and they last me a long time. I like this setup. I don't know if any of you guys have this. It's called a wet palette, and it has a little lid to it. So each morning, I'll go through, make sure I've got enough colors. I made a fresh one for tonight, so it'll look nice and neat. But then tomorrow I'll go out painting and it'll be a mess, and I'll scrape it down. I'll use this one sheet. These are these tearaway sheets. I'll use it for a week, and I'll add more color up here, but it's all good to go. It'll last, except for the white. I use the alkyd white so that it's dried by the next day. All right, so now we're going to try this red. and see.
Do you put it in the freezer or keep it?
I don't. I've heard that's a really good trick. Do you do that?
Yeah,
I do that.
It works?
yeah, it's supposed to keep it fresh longer.
Yeah.
I have heard that. So now cat is a really opaque color, so it's kind of going over my drawing underneath. I could add a little more oil just to get it a little thinner. And I'm not going to go over this. Maybe I am. Not all the way though, but see this white, I just went over it a little bit. I don't know if you guys out there can really see this. Yeah, there's a lot of detail here.
Let's,
Use
yeah,
this.
we can use that one.
Use this.
I didn't know,
It's close enough, right?
Okay.
Is it
Yeah, this is-
hurting your- No?
Yeah, this is working. You can check with everyone with this one.
Well, it's there, it's looking good on, not
Yeah.
that project, but it's looking good at here.
Huh.
It's vibrant, much warmer. That's the core color.
yeah, I didn't know that there were going to be people on Zoom and Facebook. Although if I had known, I would have done something maybe a little bit bigger so that
Oh, yes.
yeah, you could, because this is a lot of little detail. So I'm going over the shine there just a little bit, and then I'll go back over it again. But when I go over it, then I get this sort of pink, and it's just nice to have some variation because I do see that there. And I was thinking I was going to use alizarin, and I probably will use alizarin over in this area. But over here, I think that would make it too dark. This line actually goes up there.
Maura, you're painting right now with a light bulb. When you look in the daytime, does the color look different?
That's a good question. You know, it's funny. I don't notice it. When I do my still lifes, they look very similar, whether I'm doing the light bulb or then later in the day, but I cannot say the same thing for my plein air pieces. They really look different when I get them back home. But for this, yeah, maybe it's this light. I don't know. I just got this light at IKEA. You know, that's another thing people will say, oh, you need this special light for doing your still lifes at home. It has to mimic daylight, or I don't know, they have all different special ones. And I don't know. I think that all the equipment is important, but I think just doing it and practicing, you'll find that.
Is that a regular, what kind of bulb is that?
I have no idea. What does this say? It doesn't say. You know, I just went to IKEA and I bought a spotlight.
This is regular 2700. Yeah, but it's used on the countertops, you know, where the microwave bulbs are heating.
Yeah.
So it heats up, not an LED, but you know,
Yeah.
it produces warm 2700 Kelvin. That's what the numbers are.
I've had it for 10 years so far.
Oh, wow.
I know. And
Wow.
I think maybe I had to change the bulb once, or maybe I haven't even done that. So yeah, you guys can't see out there, but for those of you that are here, you can see this was really easy, and it's almost looking done, and you almost have that glow. I don't know if you can see that,
Yeah.
but grisailles are just really forgiving and pretty easy. Once you get the drawing the way you want it, that's the key.
Still wondering how to get the glaze.
It's just the oils, you know, it's just a great technique. So when I was in art school, my professor would take us, we did this one class on grisailles, and he would take us to the Zwinger Museum. I went to art school in Dresden, Germany. He would take us across the street to the Zwinger Museum, And we would look at, you know, the Rubens and the Dürers, and they were using this technique. And then we would go back and practice it. And it was just great. He also taught us to use egg tempera. And you can even put that on top of an oil painting. So you could get these little tubes of it. It's really opaque. It's almost like putting a dab of gouache on top of your oil painting. But if you really need something to be not even necessarily white, but you want to start over in that area, you can try putting a little bit of egg tempera wherever you want to put it. And then when you put the color over it, it's not going to be like putting, let's say, the transparent red oxide. It won't be like putting it on a normal panel. You're putting it on top of white, and it's a glaze. I'm sure you've all seen those examples where they show the color and then they show that color over white. And that's what this is. And you can also do that with egg tempera. It's so cool. Okay, I'm gonna add a little bit of alizarin over to this side now.
Like your painting is looking much more attractive than.
Then those two, right?
Than these.
More
Yeah,
lively
yeah,
than-
more like.
It's just
more
the
lively than
coolest.
the other two, yeah.
Yeah, it's just so cool. And I'm sorry you guys out there can't quite see it.
It's looking good, I think. for
I
them
think it's
also,
looking
isn't it?
good, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna add a little dioxazine purple because I want it to be just slightly on the blue side back over here. I just want to differentiate between here and here for each of these colors on all of these. But you see, once you have the grisaille done, as I said, it's like you got your coloring book. And these paints, if you make them thin enough layer, it's like they're your magic markers. It's gonna look good. And this is very representational. It can be abstract. You can do whatever you want. Okay, now I'm going to try and take this glazing orange here. See if that works. Oh, that might work. Maybe that's too much. Let's see. Just want it to look a little bit warm on this side.
Looks beautiful.
Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see the red. It looks beautiful.
Okay. Right now, I'm just adding a little warmth to this white here. Now I'm going to add, no. I'm going to add a little bit of bluish right over to this side of the white. Maybe a little ultramarine blue with white. And you can see here on my palette how little paint I'm using. I mean, it's almost laughable. It's not quite dark enough, so I'll put that around here. I'll need something darker for right here on the edges.
Shakes.
What time have we got? Oh my gosh, 8:43. Oh my gosh. Okay.
You want to see it using the green one?
Yes, I'm gonna go to the green.
see the mark.
I'm going in speed mode, which is really something I don't do. I do it with my plein air because the light is always changing and I'm racing against the sun. But with these still lifes, it's so nice. I can really take my time, except for right now. So now I'm going in with my frayed brush and I'm just sort of smoothing this all out. Again, because I've got the drawing underneath, which is totally dry. So I really can't mess up the drawing. I'm just sort of mushing the colors around. And I can't really do anything too terrible.
You kind of blurring the edges out.
Yeah, I'm just blurring it a little because I think it looks a little better, a little blurred.
And I can see how the red became transparent.
Yes,
And
I know. You guys out there can't quite see it. So next time we'll do this again. You'll come here and you'll see it in person. Okay, now I'm going to do some of the green. So clean out my brush. Normally I would clean it more thoroughly, but I'm just going to clean it in some of this oil so that I don't have a really muddy color. Because for this part of the green, well, you can't see, for this part where the green is, I want it pretty vibrant. So I'm going to take some phthalo green, which is such a powerful color. And I think, let's try cad. That looks right. Ooh. That's looks about the right color. And I'm not doing it to the edge because I'm going to want a darker color there. So I'm just putting this one in now. A little bit it's going over these little shine marks. A little bit I'm just leaving them there. The eye will fill in what you don't. Okay, now I want something a little darker here. I might add some dioxazine purple, see how that works. That's not enough. Painting is kind of like sculpture, you know, you just push and pull. And when you put a color down that isn't quite right, then you just keep reaching for the right color.
this is incredible.
Yeah, it really pops up.
It's just popping up.
I know. It's nothing that I've done.
Say you're missing something.
Exactly. This is something you should have seen it live.
Janki, you're making us jealous.
No, yes, because
Yeah. Totally.
we have set it up for you here. You should come here.
Because it is incredible to see it live. The way the colors are looking so
Much
bright.
different
and-
than looking
yeah,
at the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not really, it is not I, it's the technique.
it's-
You can do this. You can do this at home. Try it. So cool. Okay, so
It's so magical, no? Very simple strokes and little bit colors.
Just little bit done.
yeah, and I haven't even dealt with the 848 with the shadows. I would go purple with the shadows. Let's see. Maybe I'll just do a little bit of white and then I'll do a little bit of the shadows. It's on here.
So,
Yeah.
are you saying
Yeah.
if you didn't do the griselle underneath, it wouldn't pop as much?
Oh, no, it wouldn't. Just like, you know, this, look at the difference.
Yeah.
You know, it's just really opaque. I mean, I love this. This is great. I love my plein air stuff. But it's just different.
This
It
one we
would-
saw in Triton, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
It's
it's
so
so
cute.
small, but
I'm
it's
sure it was
perfect. My daughter remembers, and this is
Really?
near Sunnyvale.
Yes, I love
And the
that.
next day we went to Sunnyvale, like we passed this, oh, we saw this in Triton.
Oh, that's so funny. It looked like they were that
That's in Sunnyvale?
hotel.
Yeah, Sunnyvale.
It's on.
Near Santa Clara, Sunnyvale. El Camino.
It's on El Camino. I love all those hotel signs on El Camino.
So we saw it, and somehow we just happened that we saw it that weekend. It said, oh yeah, we saw this
Huh.
thing.
What's the name of the motel?
Western Motel, but I feel as though it's changing owners or getting close. There's
San Thomas, El Camino.
Yeah,
Road, San
that's
Thomas.
right.
Oh.
It's on El Camino, right?
so great with that pool there and everything. I mean, you can just see the past.
So you just set up on El Camino?
I do. I do.
And
I
how long
do.
does this take? Oh my God.
That was probably about 3 hours. So even though it's tiny, it takes me as long as something
yeah, it's
bigger. Yeah.
It was so attractive. I think I even took a picture of this.
Oh my
When I
gosh.
saw it.
I'm going to try and do a tiny bit of the shadow here. There's a lot of blue in it.
When I saw your work on Facebook and on Viewpoint website, I went through your whole profile and searched, looked at every painting.
Oh my gosh.
It was
That's so nice.
It was so lovely.
That's really nice.
Maura, I think maybe another 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure. So now what I'm doing is putting in the shadow, and as I did in the grisaille here, it's much darker on top. I can see that when I did this, the light was in a different position, so it was a lot more.
What are you using there?
Here, this is a dioxazine purple plus ultramarine blue, and then I toned it down with a little bit of transparent red oxide. So, if I were just to put straight blue or dioxazine purple, I think it would be too bright. I think the colors are more subtle, so I toned it down with an opposite, with a complementary color. And here, that is, I'm gonna blur that.
This topic is for all of you to do it in the December potluck.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
So all the members need to do something like this.
At home now.
Yes, at home.
Yeah, I like doing the candy sticks. They're just kind of, they lend themselves to the grisaille so well. And if you get the drawing right, then it's just, they're pretty easy. I get these at Rocket Fizz, and there used to be one in Mountain View, which has closed, but I think there's still one in Campbell.
These candies.
Yeah, they sell these there. I haven't seen them anywhere else.
Next time, whenever I see any type of candies, I think of you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm feeling like
There's
that's
so
a little
many
too
varieties.
dark. I don't like that. It's a little too dark, or maybe not the right color. So that's the other thing. I put the oil on. So I just take it off when I don't like something. Okay, are we done? Have we? Okay.
Maybe what's the plan for the background? Maybe you can explain that.
Yeah, so, I like what I did on the background on this one. It's kind of gray, it's kind of a cool color. And I chose a cool color because this was basically warm.
And how did you get this such a soft, smooth texture?
Probably I did a couple of layers. So, I might take something like this, which is I just added white to that dioxazine purple, add a little more. So see,
Oh, yeah, okay. So
and I would just put this one layer on it. I kind of like that color actually. It's almost purpley, but not quite. And then I would let that dry, and probably I would add another layer. And you can see that some of these brush strokes go away, and they'll go away even more next time. The other thing I would do is, because the light is coming in this direction, I'm gonna make it this background lighter here and then make it darker over here. And that also gives that illusion. So
Yeah, so.
try it.
So, can you send us the finished painting? We will put this on the top of our video when we post it.
Sure, sure. I don't know exactly. If it's raining tomorrow, I'll work on it tomorrow. And if it
Okay.
isn't, I'll be out there plein air
Right.
painting.
Oh,
But as
tomorrow
soon
is
as I do-
atmospheric rain, so it will be raining.
It will be
So-
raining.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so-
Question, would you normally do the sticks on one day and then do the background on another day so that the sticks are dry first?
No, I wouldn't, because you know, I'm gonna want this background to come right up against this, or maybe the other way around. I'll then, once I put the background in, I'm gonna take the white and kind of push it on top of the background.
Hmm.
So I want it all together. I want those edges to meet.
I was curious because I was thinking that, you know, if you make a mistake along the edge with your paintbrush, might be kind of hard to correct that on the sticks unless they were already dry. And so that, and if you were doing the background on a separate day, then it would be easy to wipe off the mistake, you know?
Well, I mean, that's true also. And at the end of any day, I see all the mistakes I've made. And the ones that I can't fix, then I try and fix the next day.
Okay.
So I hope you all try this, and I would love to see what you've done. So send me an email. It'd be great. Make my day.
No.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Yeah.
Thank
this-
you all.